welcome to the DC Marvel Battlecast, where we discuss all things DC and Marvel related, review superhero films, and debate who would win in Marvel vs. DC matchups. I'm Johnny DC.
And I'm his twin brother, Marvelous Joe.
The song at the beginning was Animal I Have Become by 3 Days Grace from the album 1X. The song is available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you buy or stream music. We're also including it in our Spotify playlist, so make sure you check that out.
Yeah, just if you're on Spotify, do a search for DC Marvel Battlecast, one word, and you can find not only that song, but all the other songs that we have before our podcast, the podcast intro songs. They're all in one playlist, so it's pretty good listening if you like a wide, diverse variety of music.
Yeah, it's definitely diverse.
Yeah.
If you're wondering why we chose that song, probably means you haven't seen our the title of the podcast yet, or seen our podcast artwork. This episode, we're doing a battle cast between Hawkman and Wolverine. And I've been looking forward to this for a while. Like, this is my most anticipated matchup since, like, Aquaman Namor.
Really?
I think, yeah.
It's a big one. Wolverine's a big-time player, so.
For sure. And I'm going to be really sad when you cry when Hawkman wins.
You're going to be sad when I cry?
Yeah.
Or you're going to be sad when you cry?
No, when you cry.
Are you going to be so sad from me crying that you're going to cry yourself?
Maybe.
Okay.
So before we get into that, though, just a quick rundown of all the news we'll be going into. Starting off, Matt Reeves has been confirmed to direct the Batman. So we'll talk about that. And also, there's a Nightwing film in the works.
Yeah, there's some X-Men news regarding X-Force and Deadpool.
Right. And then also some Wonder Woman spoilerage that we'll get into. And we'll make sure, in advance that spoilers are coming up if you don't want to hear them.
Yeah. And this is kind of old news, but we're going to talk about the Mel Gibson news.
Yeah.
Regarding Suicide Squad 2.
Regarding Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap the news section off up by talking about the Inhumans cast. Casting of one person.
Yeah, so far we've only heard one casting announcement, but it's pretty good, so we'll talk about it briefly.
Yeah.
After that, we'll go into the Battlecast, where we'll go over Hawkman's and Wolverine's profiles, powers, and, start arguing with each other. So let's get into it. So actually,
we're going to start off with the trivia.
Yeah, we'll start off with the trivia. Congrats to no one.
Because no one got the answer.
Because no one answered, and I don't know if it was because. I don't know why no one decided to answer this. I'm like the previous week, previous trivia question, we had multiple answers, but only the first person got the no prize. This week, no one gets the no prize because no one guessed, and I wonder if it's because it was maybe too hard of a question, or maybe because my hint was wrong. So the question, last week's question or last episode's question was it was a Valentine's trivia question, and the question was, in the comics, which Marvel character has locked lips on several occasions with which DC character? And the hint that I gave was one of the characters is a vampire.
Which really threw me off.
Yeah.
Like, right when he said that, if you could see my face, I was like, what the what?
Yeah, that may have thrown people off. So the answer is Jubilee and Robin. I don't know how many people know that in the comics currently Jubilee is a vampire.
Yeah, I did not know that.
No. So
that's really dumb.
Yeah, during the events of the Marvel vs. DC graphic novel event miniseries that came out in the mid-90s, Jubilee and Robin were kind of an item.
They fought against each other, but they kissed
at least twice that we know of.
Yeah, at least 2 times.
Yeah.
And I guess Jubilee kept a diary of, like, the entire incident.
Yeah, so the events happened, but not a lot of people forgot what happened. Mm-hmm. But Jubilee kept a diary, so she remembered what happened, so she found access and got him to take her to the DC universe, where she got to meet Robin again, and they ended up fighting Two-Face and kissing again, even though he has a girlfriend, allegedly, at that time. So
this is Tim Drake, right?
Yeah, it's Tim Drake.
Good for Tim.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll do a question for this episode, and if no one answers again, we'll probably just nix this whole segment.
I don't know. Spees could answer again, so he may just jump on this.
Yeah. All right. So this is a Black History Month question, since it's still February. So since the year 2000, name 2 black actresses that have played the same Marvel character and 2 black actresses that have played the same DC character. So we're looking for 4 actress names total.
Yeah, it's a 4-part answer.
Yeah. So submit your answer to our Instagram. Well, you can find us at Instagram at DC Marvel Battlecast. You can find us on Twitter at DC Marvel Battle is our handle there. Or you could email us at dcmarvelbattlecast@gmail.com. And if you're unsure, I was also wondering if people were maybe unsure if the answer had already been given. If you go on Twitter or Instagram and look for us and you don't see a no prize, for that was posted recently for this question,
then no one's gotten
it right. Once you see that no prize, that means you don't have to answer because it's already been answered.
It's kind of difficult to see on Twitter though. I would imagine if you click on like the media feed. Or just strictly our media feed.
Our photos feed.
Yeah, it'll be easier to see.
Yeah.
On Twitter. With Instagram, it'll be right.
Or you know what? You could also reach out to us and be like, I don't know if this has been answered yet, but
that's
if it
people
hasn't,
have done that before.
Yeah. Yes. Reach out to us on Gmail. And we'll give a hint for our question later on in the episode. Again, we're looking for 4 actress names. If you get it right first, according to the timestamp, we will draw you up a DC Marvel Battlecast no prize.
And if you haven't seen them, they're pretty cool. I want one.
Guess.
I want one. I think they're cool.
No prizes aren't that cool.
Well, I draw them. I don't know.
You also get a mention in our next episode. So do that. Anyway, on to the news.
Yep. All right. So starting off, Matt Reeves has been confirmed finally to direct the Batman. Yay!
Yeah, we talked about this last episode where he was like rumored to, but it wasn't like confirmed. And then like last week. It was like, oh, Matt Reeves and, the negotiations broke down and he's not going to direct it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard stories that there was, like, a shouting match.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's not... And even with this news, like, it's really... I hate this. It's a really hard time to be a DC fan right now. As many as...
This is why you should just switch to Marvel.
There's a lot of cool things are happening, or at least it's, like, cinematic-wise. Just because, yay, Matt Reeves is directing the Batman, but, like... with everything that's gone on with the Flash, I mean, like, what's going to be the news next week, I'm apprehensive to get excited about anything right now, as exciting as this is, just because I don't know what's going to happen down the road. I mean, is it going to be another, like, Rick Famuyiwa situation, or... Well,
there were also rumors going around... that Ben Affleck was no longer interested in playing Batman after his contract expires.
Yeah, and he wants out.
Yeah, and that he wants out. And that he, there were even rumors going around that maybe he won't even be in this movie.
Is that came from John Campea on Collider Movie Talk, and he's not known for having any kind of scoopage. And he hates scoops.
Well, regarding the Nightwing movie that was announced day before yesterday, can't remember.
It was the same day that Matt Reeves was announced to be confirmed as the director.
Yeah, the exact same day. So they had all this news. It makes me wonder if maybe now they're going to include Nightwing in the Batman movie as a way to maybe kind of take over that role once Ben Affleck, no longer does movies.
I didn't think about that
or these movies
until you mentioned that to me earlier. I was pretty interested in the Nightwing film. Just because you're like world building and you're getting more in the Bat family, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But once you said that it's sort of a way for Ben Affleck to sort of bow out, it made a lot of sense. Especially that they would announce it on the same day.
Yeah. And the Nightwing film is apparently going to be directed by the guy who directed Lego Batman.
Chris McKay. Yeah. So that made me sad.
See, no, it was just a theory that I had, though. You don't have to buy into it.
But it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And
that Nightwing would replace Batman?
Yeah.
In future movies?
Yeah. Which, like, I never really liked the idea of Nightwing taking up the Batman mantle. I always thought that was more of like a Tim Drake kind of thing, or maybe even a Damian Wayne.
Well, because Nightwing is very much his own hero.
He is very much his own thing. He's not Bruce Wayne, So, I don't know. I'm excited for the Nightwing movie. I'm not sure how I feel about Chris McKay directing, I mean, he hasn't really directed anything live action that I know of. Like, I know he's done, like, Robot Chicken and, you know, Lego Batman and stuff like that, so he's great with animation.
And kids' movies.
Right. And also, you know, just, like, because I thought, like, he did a really good job with, like, the mythos of Batman in the Lego Batman movie. We mentioned that during our Lego Batman review in the last episode. But we also mentioned that, like, Robin, the character of Robin, like, was a little different. Like, off character. He kept calling
annoying
Bruce Wayne, like, Papa and stuff like that. I don't think... I'm just wondering if this is going to be a comedy.
Nightwing?
Yeah. Because that's what Chris McKay
That's a
directs.
good question. How would it be different in tone from a Batman movie? A Nightwing film?
I almost see it as more of, like, maybe something closer in tone to, like, Captain America.
Really?
Not as dark. A little bit more, like, spy thriller.
But Nightwing's not a spy.
Well, for a while he was.
Oh.
For a while he sort of dropped, recently actually, the Nightwing persona and was just a spy for, what was it, Spiral? I forget the organization. But, yeah, I could see it kind of going that direction. Nightwing is honestly, like, just a cool character. He has, like, one of my favorite costumes and just, like, looks in all of, like, DC Comics.
He does look like a badass.
Super streamlined and really cool.
Yeah.
And
who do you think could play him? In a live action movie.
That's a good question.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Maybe he could carry on the
he
continuity.
He would have made a good one. Yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, the age range that he should be in, because, like, people say, like, Zac Efron.
What?
Like, yeah, some people I've seen that touted online.
No.
Just I don't know.
Well, nothing against Zac Efron. I just don't see him as Nightwing.
Well, I think a lot of people, like, think of Nightwing as almost, like, sexualized in a way, like a sexualized.
He's
character?
a sexy character.
I don't know why. The hairstyle, maybe. I don't know.
His 90s hairdo with the bangs and everything.
I wish I had his hair. I'm not gonna lie. But I think whenever I hear Zac Efron, I'm like, isn't that too young? So
Zac Efron's like 30.
Is he really?
I'm just making that up. I don't know.
Was he like 30 years old in High School Musical?
He's like late 20s to like early 30s.
I don't know. There was always an actor who said he wanted to be Nightwing. It was what is his name? It's like Milo Ventimiglia.
Nope, I don't know who that is.
I should have looked up his name before I even brought this up.
Apparently, you should just get like one of those Game of Thrones actors, because apparently they're just they're good for anything.
Pretty much.
Like you have Finn
But
Jones.
he played like Rocky Balboa's son in Rocky Balboa. He was in Heroes. Right now he's in this TV show called like this. What is it called? The Story of Us or something. I don't know.
What about Jared Padalecki?
Oh, from Supernatural?
Yeah.
And recently on Twitter he said that he was interested in the role.
And he has the hair.
I don't see it though. I don't know why either.
Why?
Just do Casey Affleck, damn it. Just do Casey Affleck. Why not?
That would be fantastic.
That would be cool.
He's a good actor. He's up for an Academy Award tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that happens.
That's right. Well, who do you see as Nightwing?
I would love to see Jared Padalecki in it. I think he has the hair and he has the look. He's tall. He's built.
Yeah, I guess.
Sexy man.
Sexy man hair.
Sexy man hair. He can do it.
Yes. I don't watch Supernatural, so I don't know.
My wife does all the time for the wrong reasons. Anyway, I think that's it for that news.
Yeah.
We'll see how that turns out. It seems like there's like lots of like little miniature news, like DC's like, oh, we're gonna do
not miniature news. Well, like these two news items are pretty damn big news
miniature,
items.
but like they're announcing a bunch of future projects like Gotham City Sirens and Nightwing and Justice League Dark and stuff, and it's still like they're all
Black
just big,
Adam. Yeah.
huge question marks. I think. I don't even know if they're gonna happen. It's just they're saying a lot of shit, but it's like get one movie right and then announce a lot of shit.
Excuse me, BVS Ultimate Edition was good.
Yeah, but it wasn't the theatrical version, was it?
You could.
Do you think if they had released the Ultimate Edition in theaters, there would be very little to no negativity regarding the DC Films universe?
I think there would be an issue with tone, but story and like editing wise, I mean, I think it was far superior. I think it would have gotten a lot better critical response.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, moving on. X-Men. A lot of weird news regarding the X-Men this past few weeks.
Yeah.
Like out of nowhere, we learned that Joe Carnahan is co-writing the X-Force script with Ryan Reynolds,
which we all sort of called it.
Yeah, I kind of called it.
Like when it comes to like the X-Men news, we're pretty good with like guessing the name for Logan.
Yeah.
And now this Joe Carnahan news.
Yeah, because so when Tim Miller initially left Deadpool 2, like we were debating who would make it a good director for Deadpool 2 before they had hired David Leitch, whatever. So I said get Joe Carnahan because he has a kinetic style that was in Smoking Aces and in the A-Team, and he's worked with Narc, and he's worked with Ryan Reynolds in Smoking Aces, so he'd be perfect to direct Deadpool 2. Again, that didn't happen, but now it looks like he not only is he writing the script with Ryan Reynolds, he is rumored to be directing the X-Force film, which would make a lot of sense.
Which is great. That's exciting news.
Although, like, Joe Carnahan is like extremely busy nowadays. Like he has the Uncharted movie going on. I guess.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like a bunch of stuff on his plate. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. Also along those lines, Drew Goddard. Goddard? I never know how to say that. Goddard. Drew Goddard. He's the guy who directed Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
He was the showrunner for the first season of Daredevil. He wrote The Martian. He is an extremely talented guy. Apparently, he is working on the script with Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool 2.
I'm a huge Cabin in the Woods fan. It's like one of the few horror films that I actually own.
Yeah, I fucking love that movie. And I love The Martian. I think pretty much I love everything that he's ever done. So this is fantastic news. It looks like I don't know if they're completely rewriting Rhett Reese's and Paul Wernick's script. I don't think they are. Actually, and Ryan Reynolds has come out saying that they're not. It looks like maybe they're just like retouching it, basically, which sounds good to me. It's kind of a dream team in terms of creative talent that's working on this film.
Deadpool, yeah. All
I need to do is just watch John Wick now, and I think my hype for this movie will be complete. So yeah, like Ryan Reynolds is all of a sudden like a big a writer now, and he's writing Deadpool 2 or helping write Deadpool 2, helping write X-Force. It's kind of weird.
He helped write the first one.
That's true. The first Deadpool. That's true. And in further X-Men news, apparently they're gonna shoot a new X-Men film this summer. Sophie Turner had mentioned,
which is like really under like the radar. Like how's the internet not know about this already?
Yeah,
well, apparently it's called like X-Men Supernova, or at least that's the
working title. X-Men Supernova, and rumored to direct is frequent X-Men film writer Simon Kinberg. He also wrote the Fantastic Four movie, and what else did he write? He wrote one thing that was good. Let me look it up.
That really threw me for a loop because I know that he's like the producer in all these like Fox superhero films and the writer, but I've never known him to direct anything.
I don't think he has. I'm pulling up his filmography right now, and of course it brings up the mobile version of the site. I don't know why. Let's see. So director-wise, one movie, X-Men Supernova, rumored. So he's never directed a film, but he did write. Let's see here. Writer, movie. He wrote... Oh, Sherlock Holmes. That's right. He wrote Sherlock Holmes and This Means War, which is a pretty good film, I guess. He wrote Jumper and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So not great films.
The thing that really worries me here is, like, this is rumored to be, a Phoenix Saga story. Which I thought it was going to be New Mutants. What was with that cinematic that they released?
Well, they're going to do a New Mutant. So there's going to be another X-Men film. There's going to be that takes place in the continuity after X-Men Apocalypse. There's going to be a New Mutants film. There's going to be an X-Force film. There's going to be a Deadpool 2 film.
Holy shit!
And a Gambit film eventually. I guess that's still in the works.
I wonder if they're all going to connect. Because I know James McAvoy he also mentioned, along with Sophie Turner, about getting ready to shoot a new X-Men movie this year.
Yeah.
So he's definitely going to be in Supernova. I wonder if he's also going to be in New Mutants, because I remember in the comics, like, that was the one, like, common thread that
those two comics had was Professor X.
Yeah.
Well, that would be cool.
Okay, so the thing that concerns me with this is that, like, Simon Kinberg had his chance to write a good Phoenix story. He wrote X-Men: The Last Stand.
Yeah.
And that was a steaming pile of dog shit.
I totally agree with that. I think maybe they learned their lesson in that these films actually have to be really good. I did not like X-Men Apocalypse. I did like how it ended. I think if they continue down that road, like if they turn this into like a full balls to the wall 90s X-Men film, like make it like the 90s X-Men cartoon. Yeah, even do the song, sure. Just make it like that, like with like Cyclops and Phoenix and all them in the 90s, and maybe even going into space or something like that to deal with like the Phoenix Force. I think that would actually make a great X-Men movie. That's the direction I would like to see it go, because they haven't gone to space yet, and they haven't really captured that 90s X-Men magic.
X-Men
I assume
space.
I assume this movie would be in the 90s, since they're going a decade since X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
70s with Days of Future Past, 80s with Apocalypse, 90s with hopefully maybe the Supernova. I think you can't use the same cast and go into the 2000s just yet, because they don't look old enough.
Yeah.
So I think if they embrace, get that style of the X-Men 90s cartoon and really catch that vibe.
But have you seen the 90s cartoon recently?
Yes.
It's a really bad cartoon.
How dare you?
It's not good.
Well, compared to today's cartoons, yes. But back in the day, it was awesome.
I don't know, it doesn't seem, I mean, I liked the cartoon when I was younger, but now it just, maybe it's just because you had that great pitch where like you have like Cable going through time and picking out different characters from like the X-Men history to like form the X-Force.
Yeah.
That just sounds like such a great idea.
The pitch that I gave?
They need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first do 90s. I really want to see the 90s X-Men. That's what I've been waiting for since the 2000s X-Men.
You want to see
90s X-Men.
You want to see Anna Paquin as Rogue with like curly red hair?
No. I want to see the 90s costumes and the 90s
the Jim Lee costumes.
Yeah, I want to see the Jim Lee costumes, because I still think that was the X-Men's greatest era, was the 90s. So I just want them to harness that. They don't need to make it like the cartoon, because yes, the cartoon is horrible, but if you manage to extract that feeling, that nostalgic feeling, I think you could do it. Anyway,
maybe
that's what I want. All right, moving on.
So I'm second guessing this whole spoiler thing.
I don't think you should give the spoiler for Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I mean, when I read about it, I was really sad that I learned about it. I was like, damn it!
It's regarding Ares.
It's regarding Ares. It's one of those things that like you don't want to learn.
Yeah.
You don't want to learn? Much information. You don't want to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go into it.
Okay.
We will still talk about Ares. We're gonna talk about his look.
Yeah, because there was a toy that was revealed.
Yeah.
The look.
Yeah, of course, another instance where a toy reveals a character that we haven't received a photograph yet. And honestly, I kind of hope we don't like see him before the movie. This toy, I think, is all I want to see, because it's just gonna be so glorious. This is such an awesome look for Ares.
It's kind of horrifying. He looks like a villain in some kind of horror film.
He looks terrifying.
Because he has
like legitimate scary.
He's wearing like a demonic ram skull. He doesn't have
it's
his
not even like a ram. It's like some alien animal.
It looks like an alien ram because it has the horns.
Yeah,
they'll go around. And a ram is the symbol of Ares, or at least the animal of Ares.
It's not exact. It's more like I don't like a water buffalo's horns. It's not. They don't curve around like a ram.
Yeah.
But like he's always had those horns. In the comic, like he's always had like this Spartan helmet with horns on it, and it's always kind of been like this generic Greek evil look. But this takes it to a completely different level. It's so
Do you
good.
like? Do you
it's
like it?
updated? I really like it. It's my favorite look of Ares that I've ever seen. Just because it takes the horn thing and turns it into this like scary skull, but it's still a Spartan helmet. You know?
Yeah.
Like the slit in the front of the jaw of whatever this creature is. It's still a Spartan.
I think it's an interesting take. Well, what's the animal that usually represents like Athena?
The owl?
Owl? Like, is Athena, like, when she goes into battle, like, in this, like, universe, does she wear, like, an owl helmet? Kind of owl skull?
An owl skull.
Giant owl skull?
I doubt it.
Like a bird kind of skull? That's weird. I don't know.
Well, she's never had, like, horns on her helmet, you know?
Yeah.
But Ares always has.
It's definitely an interesting take. Whether it's better than the Spartan helmet with horns from the comics, I don't know. It's different, definitely. It's scarier, definitely. So it might be more intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily better, but I do think it's interesting regardless.
I just love the fact that, like, it's just, like, pitch black. Sorry. Like, pitch black, but you could, like, still see his, like, glowing eyes. That's going to be so great. It's going to look so good on screen.
I wonder what his voice is going to sound like.
I have no idea. I'm sure it'll be heavily modified, but...
He kind of looks like he could kick Loki's ass.
I agree.
Yeah. He looks intimidating.
You know, honestly, what it reminded me of initially was like sort of like the look of Steppenwolf, because like Steppenwolf has the same horn thing going on
from BVS.
No, not from BVS, from the comic.
Okay.
But I kind of hope like because like when they showed Steppenwolf at the end, if that was Steppenwolf, I think they confirmed that it was.
Yeah.
I hope they go with like those disc kind of fan, like Egyptian axe kind of looking helmet kind of thing, and not the horns. Save the horns for Ares, because this looks badass.
He had horns in BVS. He was like an alien horn creature.
Yeah, it was more like a fanned axe kind of thing. It wasn't like a point.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Anyway.
Is that a term, fanned axe?
Yeah, it's like an Egyptian axe.
Okay.
Can you picture that?
Yeah, well, no, I remember what he looks like. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So. I'm really digging this look, and he looks like a great formidable opponent for Wonder Woman. So, I can never have see if I was doing it, would not have looked anywhere near as cool as this.
It would have looked more traditional.
Yeah, way more traditional, and so I'm really happy with this because Ares has looked so different. Like, through the decades in the Wonder Woman comic. Like, I remember...
There was one point where he was just a dude without a shirt and red eyes.
Well, he was a dude with, like, a black suit kind of thing. But, like, his shirt was buttoned open so you could see his chest. Yeah.
It was dumb.
And, like, recently he's also been, like, this old man in, like, a tattered, like, soldier's uniform, which is an interesting take. Brian Azzarello's takes on the...
Tattered soldier's uniform from what war?
And, like, his feet are bloody. Yeah.
From what war?
Like a current war.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he's weird. Like an old bearded man.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's cool. It was cool. This is cooler. This is way cooler.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it on the screen.
It's a riff on the traditional, but it's like a cool like evil riff on the traditional armor.
I'm really glad that you said he looked like he could kick Loki's ass. Because I'm hoping, honestly, people see this and are like, oh shit, and I thought Loki was cool.
They're gonna be like, oh shit, Wonder Woman has some horrifying villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does.
Not really.
What?
Cheetah?
Oh, jeez. Well, Ares. Ares is... I consider Ares to be her primary antagonist.
Yeah. All right. Is that it for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen what he looks like, go ahead and Google Ares toy or something like that.
Don't Google anything.
What?
If you Google something, you might run into the spoiler, okay? Go into this as fresh as possible, okay?
What if they want to see what we're talking about? The Ram's Head thing.
Well, I don't know. I'll post it to Twitter.
Okay.
Just be careful. Just be careful out there.
It's a minefield out there, you guys.
Seriously. You never know what you're going to find.
Don't pull a us, where we read everything and are surprised by nothing and are disappointed by everything. All right.
Yeah. This...
What?
I don't want to say anything.
All right, then don't.
I'm excited.
Mel Gibson in early talks to direct Suicide Squad 2. Now, this has been news for a while. A lot of people have already commented on it.
Yeah.
I just want to get your take on it.
Holy shit. When I saw this news, I was like, one of the few times I've ever done a double take. I was like, wait, what? On my, when I'm scrolling through my news feed on my phone.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
I think in some ways it does.
When you texted it to me, I was like, does not compute. I think your phone scrambled the message you were trying to send.
Right, exactly. So this has the potential to change everything. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing. Okay, let me get this right off the bat. I think Mel Gibson is a fantastic director.
He's a fantastic director, but he's also a piece of shit human being.
Just separating the art from the artist.
Do you always want to do that, though?
Yeah.
I don't like Mel Gibson as a person at all.
He's said some terrible
Between
things.
his Jewish, anti-Jewish remarks, his anti-black people remarks, his anti-Mexican people remarks. It's just, like, you don't get drunk and then all of a sudden become racist. You get drunk and then your racist tendencies come out. So I think, I don't know if he's changed. I don't know and even if he has, I don't know if I'm ready to forgive him as a director. I do think...
the thing is, though, can you honestly say that you don't like his movies or that he's not a good filmmaker?
No, I love his movies. Braveheart is one of the greatest movies ever made, I think.
Right. And Apocalypto, I really liked that. I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge, but everyone who has seen it has said it's one of the best films of last year.
You could be a talented person, but while simultaneously being a garbage person.
Well, again, this is separating the art from the artist. As an artist, he is unparalleled. His movies are some of the best movies that have ever been made. For him to touch a DC property is...
Gross.
It's incredible. For him to even consider this, I can see where he might be attracted to the idea of doing something a little bit more commercial, just so he gets a little bit more favoritism, a little bit more fandom, a little bit more cred, just because he has a horrible reputation, which I think is kind of diminishing because he still continues to put out great films like Hacksaw Ridge, but we'll see. I think this could help him only even more.
The only reason I'm willing to maybe give him a slight chance is because Robert Downey Jr. said we should. And I like Robert Downey Jr. And he was a piece of shit human being who overcame, obstacles. So I shouldn't say he was a piece of shit human being because he was an addict. And a lot of the bad stuff that he did was due to his addiction. Is Mel Gibson an addict? He's an alcoholic, right? I don't know. I just hope he gets better and stops being racist. We'll give him a chance.
Yeah. So I can see where he's attracted to it. The thing is, though, is that he seems like a really, really passionate artist.
Uh-huh.
Like, he's not going to do something unless, like, he's all in and has, like, full creative control to make it really what he wants it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if DC right now, trying to play catch up with Marvel... is the best environment for that, because it seems like they're having a lot of trouble keeping directors because of their meddling possibly, and because they want maybe a little bit more creative control over these properties than some directors are comfortable with.
Right.
If Mel Gibson directs this, I don't want Warner Brothers interfering with his vision, because he's proven again and again that his vision is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what to think of this.
And because of that, at the end of the day, if you ask me what I think, I'm going to say I don't think he should do it. One, because I don't like him, despite his skill. And two, I don't think he's the right person for the job. I think he'll bring too much of his own flavor into it, and I think what DC really needs to do is mimic the Marvel formula.
Well, this is the huge question: is that what DC is supposed to do?
Yes.
Why?
Because that's what we want to see as fans, right? I have no problems with the Marvel formula because they're turning out great, fantastic movies.
Right.
At all.
Generic.
They're not even generic. Like, some of them you can call generic, but if that's the worst problem with the movie, if they get everything else right, then I'm all for it. I like the type of serialized form of superhero storytelling that they have going on right now.
It is interesting that what they have going. It is very...
You don't want someone in there who doesn't get the character. I don't know if Mel Gibson gets the characters.
Oh, I think if Mel Gibson is going to do it, he's going to absolutely understand the characters. I think he's going to do tons of research.
Or make him how he wants to be.
No, I think he's going to... Well, maybe both. I think he's going to do tons of research and figure out the best way to do this. I think, in fact, he could even improve upon characters. It's just like, right now, I think Warner Brothers wants to make good films first and foremost, but they're also conflicted with this notion of trying to find success in what Marvel is doing.
What you do is appeal to the fan base, and everything else will fall in line.
Part of me feels like let him do whatever he wants with these characters because no one really knows them. There isn't as much like fandom around these characters as much as others, say like Batman or any of the Justice League characters. And one of my biggest gripes with the DC films so far has been Warner Brothers meddling in the cuts and stuff like that. You know, hiring a trailer cutting agency to cut a film without the director's knowledge. You know, it's stuff like that. Like, maybe Warner Brothers just needs to back off and let people make good films with these characters. Look at the Lego Batman movie. That was a really good film, and it didn't tie into anything else. You know, so I don't know what I want.
Nope, he should pass on it. Get somebody else to do it.
If DC wants to be better than Marvel, this is how you do it, by getting top talent, A-list directors. Because the other ones they have, like in the waiting line, if Mel Gibson bows out, they're like C-list directors.
Just forget it, man. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. If it happens, it's not going to work.
I would honestly be surprised if it happens. I don't think it will happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to lie that the idea of it doesn't intrigue me.
For Suicide Squad, I think you want something a little bit more fun.
I want these films to be as the best films that they could possibly be. Like, I'm hearing the greatest things about Logan. They're saying it's like the next Dark Knight. It's a good film. I want Suicide Squad to be that too. I want all the DC films to be that.
I think it's already too far gone. We'll see what happens.
I think you're too far gone.
All right, moving on to TV news. Marvel and ABC's The Inhumans casts former Game of Thrones actor, and you may have to help me with this pronunciation.
I don't know.
Iwan Rheon as Maximus. Now, I never saw Game of Thrones, so you're going to have to help me out with this. Is he good for the role?
He is fantastic for this role.
Yeah.
No one...
Was he a big douchebag?
He was the hugest douchebag.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of Joffrey, right?
Nope.
Okay, well... You need to watch Game of Thrones, dude.
Nope. I refuse.
Why?
Because I don't have time.
He's a really good actor. He's someone you really love to hate. Like, I remember seeing a few episodes of this British television show called The Misfits, and he was in that too.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like this evil-looking goblin kind of actor guy. And I think he's a great.
I think
fit
he's smug-looking.
He's really
which is
smug.
What you want from.
He
Maximus.
also it brings about like this a lot of like intelligence. Mm-hmm. Like, you believe like he's a really intelligent character.
Yeah.
And I think it's perfect for Maximus. And Maximus, of course, is Black Bolt's brother.
Yes.
Who's insane.
Yes. Yeah. The Hollywood Reporter that released this news, their report insinuated that Maximus was actually going to be like kind of like the lead character of the show, which kind of makes sense because some of the best Inhuman stories I ever read, because Black Bolt is a mute and he's kind of devoid of a lot of personality. So some of the best Inhuman stories I've ever read, had like one of the other Inhuman royal family as the main character, as like the primary protagonist, or like a citizen of Adelan as the main character. as kind of like the narrator. So I think it makes sense. Because Black Bolt is always kind of like this like mysterious kind of character, and you kind of want him to be like he's like kind of like so far above everything else, like in terms of like his intelligence and you know, so you kind of don't want to know where he's coming from when you deal with him, kind of, because he's always supposed to be a couple steps ahead. Does that make sense?
I kind of hope the Inhumans really doesn't have like a main character. I hope they treat it like something like Game of Thrones,
like a real ensemble piece, kind of.
Right? Yeah. For some reason, and maybe it's just the actor, he always kind of plays like these villain roles. I thought Maximus was going to be the villain. I don't know.
Oh, he will totally be the villain. Of the piece. He'll be kind of like a behind the scenes kind of guy. He's really cunning and has some telepathic powers and stuff. So,
What does he has telepathy?
Yeah, and he controls the alpha primitives. Is that right? Alpha primitives. We've seen those before in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, the Alpha Primitives, at the end of season 3. So it'll be interesting. I like this casting decision. I think it's good.
Honestly,
I think
it's perfect casting.
I think it's good that we're seeing that they're not just going to be focusing on Black Bolt, because I've always been concerned that he's outwardly he's not that interesting of a character. Like internally, when you get into his internal dialogue and stuff like that, he's the most fascinating character, but you can't really portray that in a medium where you don't have like boxes in the corners that tell the reader their thoughts, so
and he's just, I mean, the caliber of actor that he is, he's not like, I mean, he was on a television show, Game of Thrones, but he's like pretty, like he could be the villain of a movie if he wanted to be, and I mean, this will be a movie
right,
of sorts. So I think it just kind of shows the caliber of casting that they're going for, which is really awesome.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see the rest of this cast. I think it's supposed to be announced. The rest of it should be announced before the end of this month or early next month. So,
oh my gosh,
maybe next episode we'll be going through this whole cast.
Who's going to be Black Bolt? Billy Zane.
They keep saying that. Okay, so there was a report that came out today that said someone from Lost is going to be a major actor for Inhumans, and I'm thinking Matthew Fox as Black Bolt. That's what I'm thinking. That was always my go-to guess. Did we ever discuss my ideal Inhumans cast?
No.
Matthew Fox was Black Bolt. That's all you need to know. It was a very diverse cast because, like, one of the primary edicts from the first king, I think it was King Auron of the Inhumans, his main edict was, from diversity comes equality. And the whole, story behind the Inhumans is that, they don't want to be normal. They take pride in Terrigenesis. And, I remember, in that that early 2000s Marvel Knights run, the grandmother was those poor humans are so sad and alike, it must be frightening for them and stuff, So I want to see a diverse cast. That was my ideal cast. I don't care who you cast, as long as it's a diverse cast. I think it'll be good.
So your idea of diversity is Matthew Fox?
Only because they're brothers, but no, I would like to see. Okay, so Karnak and
Karnak should be Asian.
Karnak and Gorgon are brothers, but yeah, I was thinking Karnak, my ideal cast for that guy when I wrote up my dream cast. It was Aaron Yu. I don't know if you know him.
No,
he was in 21. He was the Asian guy there.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, and Gorgon. I wanted Lance Gross, who's in Sleepy Hollow. He was going to be cast as Luke Cage. He's like a big guy. So they're completely different races, but they're brothers. But who you come out as from Terrigenesis is not who you went in as. So, Karnak never went through Terrigenesis.
But his brother did.
But his brother did. So he could come out looking completely different. They could be different. So I think that would be interesting. Anyway, what are we talking about? Maximus. I think we're done with that news, basically. Yeah. Just really looking forward to the rest of the cast. I hope it's diverse above all, because that's kind of the Inhumans' main thing, is basically what I was getting at.
For some reason, I've always seen Billy Zane as Black Bolt. I don't know why.
Is it? Yeah, I can see that too. Oh, Billy Zane's kind of up there. I guess so is Matthew Fox. I think Matthew Fox is 50. So it might not be Matthew Fox from Lost, but I don't know who else it could be because I never watched Lost. So we'll see. All right, I think that takes us to the end of the news, though.
Yeah.
So with that, let's go ahead and get into the the Battlecast and discuss who to win in a fight between Wolverine and Hawkman. Man, what's wrong with me today?
It's time for a Battlecast. Marvel versus DC. Let's begin.
All right, welcome back. It's time for our Battlecast. Hawkman versus Wolverine. One for the ages.
Hawkman's going down.
Nope. If you haven't listened to our Battlecasts before, and if you have, we've said this a bunch of times. Again, this is inspired most in part by the old Spike TV show Deadliest Warrior. In that show, they took like two warriors from ancient historical cultures, gathered stats on them, compared those stats in battle simulation, ran that simulation 1,000 times, and then
whoever won the most fights came out the victor.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, we take their stats using the official Marvel Power Grid rankings,
Right.
and then we use those to extrapolate the DC stats.
Right.
We run a standard deviation among those numbers, and then compare the results 1,000 times.
Right. We add a few more stats, like depending on the battle, whatever we think is relevant to the battle.
Right.
And again, like no character ever wins like 100% of the matches. Unless you listen to our Christmas episode where Chip beat Rocket like 96% of the time.
94% of the time.
It was insane.
Whatever.
But none of the other matches have ever gotten close to that. So again, like you could always write a situation where one character would beat another. So we take that into account, but this is who would win a majority of the times, essentially.
Right. Yes, exactly.
We kind of declare them the winner.
Yeah. So first, before we start talking about how the fight would go, we talk about who these characters are.
Yeah.
So
Who is Wolverine?
Wolverine is a fairly popular character, but for those who may not know, I'll go into his backstory pretty quick. Not that quick, actually. It's a long-ass backstory.
He's lived a long time.
Wolverine, he's the best there is at what he does, but what he does isn't very nice. And what he does is savagely kill Hawkman and make little boys named Jonathan cry.
I'll cut you.
So Wolverine's long and tragic backstory, it begins in Alberta, Canada, in the 1880s, where he was born as James Howlett. As a child, he was a sickly, frail little boy who was often bedridden. His father's name was John Howlett, who was a loving, good man who owned the large estate they lived on. James' mother, Elizabeth, though, was an emotionally disturbed woman who often disregarded him despite his condition. And the estate's groundskeeper was a mean drunkard by the name of Thomas Logan. So, one day, John, Jim's father, fires Thomas Logan, the groundskeeper, and in revenge, later that night, Thomas drunkenly broke into the mansion in an attempt to get Elizabeth to leave with him. So, it turns out James' mother was having an affair with Thomas the whole time, and that Thomas was actually James' biological father. During all the commotion, little James left his bed to his parents' room, where he witnessed Thomas straight up blast John's head off with a shotgun. James tackled Thomas and was knocked aside, but it turns out that his mutant power manifested at that exact point.
Because mutant powers often manifest in periods of trauma.
Right. And Thomas falls dead to the ground from 6 claw stab wounds. So it turns out this sick, frail little boy is actually the guy who will grow up to be Wolverine. Elizabeth calls James a monster, and James runs away into the Canadian frontier, and Elizabeth kills herself with Thomas's shotgun, being traumatized by the death of her husband, the death of her lover, and the mutation of her son. So the only person James had left at this point was his childhood companion at the estate, who was a red-haired girl named Rose O'Hara.
Was there also Dog?
Yeah, Dog is Thomas Logan's son. He comes back into the story later. So together, Rose and James, they fled to the Yukon Territory, where they grew up in a stone quarry under the guise of being cousins, and with James now going by the name Logan, to keep anyone from tying them to the incident back at the Howlett estate. Logan fell in love with Rose, but eventually they were tracked and attacked by Thomas's son Dog, and Rose was accidentally impaled on Logan's claws, and she died in his arms.
That was sad.
So, distraught by the death of his first love, Logan exiled himself into the wilderness, where he lived for years with a pack of wolves. In another frontier community in the Canadian Rockies, Logan met a Blackfoot Indian woman named Silver Fox, and the two fell in love, and he lived happily with her for a fairly long time.
I have a question, sorry.
Yeah.
Is Dog Sabretooth?
No, he's not.
Okay.
Only in the Wolverine Origins movie was Dog Sabretooth.
Okay.
Anyway, so speaking of Sabretooth, he lived happily with Silver Fox until one day he came home from hunting and found that Victor Creed, a.k.a. Sabretooth, had raped and killed her.
How did he even know who Logan was? Did he know that he was attacking Logan's lover?
Yes.
Or
it happened on his birthday, and Sabretooth likes to torment Logan.
But
on
why?
his birthday.
They had no history up until this point.
So while he was living out in the wilderness, he was discovered by a circus where he was taken and featured as the missing link between man and animal, and he was discovered there by Mr. Sinister, who started performing experiments on him, who captured him and performed experiments on him. He was rescued from Mr. Sinister by two of the circus workers named, I can't remember what their names were, Saul and Clara, I want to say. Saul and Clara Creed. It turns out that Saul, though, was responsible for Mr. Sinister even finding Wolverine and capturing him. So Wolverine killed Saul, and Clara told her brother Victor, and that's how that kind of whole lifelong resentment was born, because Wolverine killed Sabretooth's brother.
Brother-in-law?
Brother. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's...
I guess... just because their mutations were always so similar, I always liked the idea of them being related in some way. But anyway.
Yeah, I always kind of liked that idea too, actually. But it's not how it goes. Maybe in the movies. So Sabretooth killed Silver Fox, and so Logan got super angry. He went into a berserker rage and he fought Sabretooth, but he was defeated. And in his mindless rage, he went and lived with the wolves again, basically. You find out that he does that a lot throughout the course of his history. He just kind of goes crazy because all this horrible shit happens to him, and he goes and lives with the wolves. This was all before World War I. So from here, it's kind of like Forrest Gump, where he kind of travels the world helping shape Marvel history. In World War I, he fought in the Canadian Army and traveled all over Europe, where at one point in Russia, he helped to give hand-to-hand combat lessons to a young Natasha Romanoff. In World War II, he fought for Canada and occasionally alongside Captain America and Bucky and Sergeant Nick Fury. Late in the war, he was deployed to Japan, where he was captured and held as a prisoner of war in Nagasaki. He survived the atomic bombing that happened there, and he traveled to Jasmine Falls in Japan, where he studied Bushido and fell in love with a woman named Itsu Akihiro. It was in Japan that he first met Muramasa, who is a legendary swordsmith who crafted this red sword for Logan using part of his raging soul. And the Muramasa blade can cut things at the molecular level, and the wounds it causes can't be healed by those with healing factors. So it's he basically created a sword for Wolverine that can
kill him. And
he has it stashed away with Cyclops, but he'll occasionally grab it. He used it against Sabretooth one time. Itsu, his love, was eventually murdered by Bucky Barnes, who at this point became the Winter Soldier. She was one of his first assignments.
Huh.
So
why?
Okay, that's a long story.
Okay, never mind. Just keep going.
It deals with Romulus, who's kind of this shadowy figure in the backstory of Logan's life. I don't really get much into him. It was kind of a late reveal, and I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't really like it.
Okay.
Anyway, basically he just lives to torment Logan, and it's kind of unfair and kind of stupid.
Jeez. Anyway,
so after leaving Japan, Logan became a mercenary for the Canadian Secret Service and the CIA in the Cold War, where he finally that's where he finally gets his name, Wolverine. So he later joined Team X, which is a Black Ops squad that was incorporated later into the Weapon X project. And it's there that he was...
Oh, so he still has his bone claws.
Yeah, he still has his bone claws up to this point.
Okay.
So at Weapon X, he was brainwashed and experimented on. I think we all know the story. They were able to duplicate his healing factor, which was given to later Weapon X recruits like Deadpool. They bonded his skeleton with claws and the indestructible metal known as adamantium in an effort to turn him into an unstoppable weapon that they could control. So he was reduced to a mindless state, and they even forced him to kill like every inhabitant of this small town called Roanoke during like a test of their programming of him. But luckily he was able to break free of their control, and he escaped the Weapon X facility into the Canadian woods, where he went and lived with the wolves again.
Of course, but he has no memory of his former life at this point.
Yeah, because in Weapon X they implanted false memories and they wiped his memories and things like that. So he was eventually discovered living in the woods by James Hudson, aka Guardian, from the Canadian super team Alpha Flight. You know who Alpha Flight is, right?
Oh yeah.
He brought Logan in and helped him like regain his mental faculties, and Alpha Flight is overseen by Department H, which is a Canadian government program.
Right.
So it was during this time working for Department H, which oversees Alpha Flight, that Logan donned his classic costume, the yellow and blue costume. Mm-hmm. And he fought the Hulk at that time, who had stumbled into Canada. And that was his first appearance in the comics, when he fought the Hulk. So that fight with the Hulk, it caught the attention of a certain Professor Charles Xavier, who approached Logan to recruit him into his mutant superhero team, the X-Men. So with the X-Men being detached from any sort of like government oversight, he thought joining Xavier's team would be a better fit for him than staying with Alpha Flight. And at first, like, Wolverine was just a huge pain in the ass to the team, especially Cyclops, since, he kind of fell in love with Jean Grey. What is that noise? I think the neighbors are doing something weird. Anyway, I don't know if you can hear that in the recording. If not, we'll continue. So he was a pain in the ass, but he eventually came to respect the ideals that like the team stood for, and he became obviously one of the most loyal and valuable members of the X-Men. So that's kind of his origin story. There's a lot that happened to him after that I'll go into real quick, because he's always kind of somewhat of a loner at heart. So he has a lot of his own adventures, like solo adventures, including a trip to Japan where he met and became engaged to Mariko Yashida. Mm-hmm. And but she was later poisoned by the Hand, and he reluctantly ended her life at her request. At one point, he had the adamantium ripped from his bones during one of the X-Men's fights with Magneto.
Yeah. That's right.
And it was, although he got the adamantium back by Apocalypse, who had turned him into one of his 4 horsemen death.
That was not a good era for Wolverine, I think. He looked really weird with his bandana.
Yeah, it turns out that
he looked really feral.
His body was continuing to evolve into like this beast-like state, but the adamantium was actually helping pause that, because his body was too busy, not fighting, but dealing with the adamantium in his system, basically.
I thought the adamantium was removed, though.
Yeah, and that's when he went into like that weird beastly state. Okay. But then when he got the adamantium back, he went back to normal.
That makes sense.
So later on, he ended up joining the Avengers, and eventually, at one point, he regained all of his memories after the events of House of M, when the universe was restored after the Scarlet Witch messed with reality. Currently in the comics, Wolverine is dead after stopping one of the original Weapon X scientists, Dr. Cornelius, from creating others like him. He slashed open this vat of liquid adamantium that was going to be used in the process, and it hardened and like suffocated him, and so he's like a statue. But Marvel has recently announced plans to bring him back later this year in an event called Resurrection, I think. Resurrection with an X.
Resurrection.
Yes. So that's basically his story. His powers. Everyone knows his powers. He has the adamantium claws. They're housed in his forearm and can be ensheathed at will. Since the adamantium is indestructible, his claws can cut through anything except for, say, Captain America's shield, because it's Captain America's shield is like proto-adamantium, I believe. It's a vibranium steel alloy. Adamantium was actually created in an attempt to recreate Captain America's shield. So
that's right. I remember hearing
it's
that.
Indestructible, but like Captain America's shield is indestructible.
So Wolverine's claws are indestructible, but why can they cut through everything? Are they like super sharp?
Yes, they're super sharp. And
obviously,
harder metals can cut through softer metals. And since adamantium is the hardest metal ever, it can cut through anything.
That's true.
It's the hardest substance in the Marvel Universe. He has a regenerative healing factor that not only allows him to heal from gunshot or stab wounds in seconds, it allows his cells to constantly regenerate to like their optimal state, meaning he has like near limitless stamina. It's also what gives him his enhanced senses and the delayed aging thing. His healing factor also purges toxic substances such as poisons or like the fatigue toxins, like the lactic acid that builds up when you get tired, when your muscles get tired. Although his healing factor was not strong enough to purge the adamantium itself, because it's just too strong. He has enhanced durability due to his bone density and adamantium laced bones, and he's like taken blows from stronger characters like the Hulk and the Thing. He has slight strength enhancement due to the added weight of his skeleton.
How strong is he?
And he could lift about 2 tons. So he is an expert martial artist, training since the early 1900s in military combat. And you heard that he helped train Black Widow, actually. And later on in life, he studied Japanese martial arts, and he is especially adept at sword fighting. And that's all I got.
That's long.
It was long.
My Hawkman one will not be as long.
He's lived hundreds of years, so yeah. 1880s.
Yeah, Wolverine is a fan favorite. He's probably gonna win the popular vote here, but
we don't go by popular vote. We go by hard data, folks.
Hard facts. And when it comes to hard facts, Hawkman is superior, and let me tell you why.
Superiorly lame.
Oh, yeah, okay, so
I don't know if that makes sense. Sorry.
So I mean, Hawkman, I will admit, he does have like one of the most convoluted and confusing backstories in all of comics history.
Yeah.
In the Golden Age, he was a reincarnated I can't say that word. Reincarnated Egyptian prince, and in the Silver Age, he was an alien space cop.
Oh, that's right. Thanagar.
Yeah, Thanagarian space. He was in I forget what it was called, the Hawkmen. I forget exactly what the police were called, but he was one of those.
Uh-huh.
But, of course, they screwed up his timeline in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Everybody's timeline is screwed up.
Sort of. And, no, not everyone's, but especially his. Like, especially his. In fact, because of that, they, like, later ended up, like, merging all the versions of Hawkman because they felt it was too confusing and they just wanted, like, one into, like, this Hawk God character, which didn't last very long and was scrapped. It's his whole backstory is just, like, one big, giant mess, at least pre-New 52. So I'm not going to go into the pre-New 52 origin, starting with post-New 52, because I think it's the clearest, easiest version to understand. And it's also the version that's most like Wolverine. Like, when the New 52 first launched, the title they gave for Hawkman's comic was The Savage Hawkman. And I think at the same time, or like shortly after, Wolverine actually got his own comic called The Savage Wolverine.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting. I've always considered Hawkman to sort of be like DC's Wolverine. He's just sort of like this blade-wielding barbarian with a healing factor.
He's certainly become more Wolverine-like in the past decade.
Well, since the New 52.
Since the New 52.
Like, yeah,
so the past decade.
Well, the New 52 hasn't been around for a decade.
Yes, it has.
It's not 10 years old.
Pretty sure.
Are you
it came out in
serious?
like 2006. Yeah.
No.
Hello.
What? Siri? You're not part of this podcast.
I said, hey, serious.
That's funny.
So yeah, he is sort of like Wolverine, but he's also, as you'll see, like pretty different. From the New 52, he's become think Russell Crowe in Gladiator. All right, so like deep in outer space, near the star Polaris, the North Star, there's a planet called Thanagar.
Okay, you're totally right. I looked it up. New 52 started in 2011.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, I'm sorry.
Their dominant species are these winged humanoids called Thanagarians. They have these like cool like bird wings, like kind of like angels. They're a like a proud warrior species who have fought centuries of war against other alien systems. One of these Thanagarians is named, I never know how to pronounce this.
Katara Hall or something like that?
Qatar Hall.
Cotter
Hall. I'm going to say Qatar.
Okay.
No, Cotter. I'm going to say Qatar.
Okay.
Hall. He was born into the gladiator slave caste. But he earned fame in the arena, and the recognition of the Thanagarian king at the time, Thal Provos, and especially his daughter, Shaira.
The king's daughter? So Shaira is a princess?
Yes.
Okay.
So Thal freed Qatar and adopted him into the royal family, with Shaira as his lover, and the king's real son, Corsair, as his brother. Eventually, under Thal Provos' rule, the Thanagarians conquered their interplanetary enemies, and they created a system-wide peace. And to celebrate, they invited other alien races to pay homage. One of those alien races, the Daemonites, I think is how you pronounce it, of course brought gifts plagued with a disease that caused all of the Thanagarians to lose their wings.
It's the Daemonites.
What did you expect?
They're called Daemonites.
So all the Thanagarians lost their wings, which made them really, really sad.
That sucks.
Yeah. And they, it was a tactic to make them lose their air superiority in combat. Shortly after, because of this plague, Thal Provos died, and his son Corsair took the throne. And Corsair, he also inherited a new war that was brought about because of this, like, a sort of part assassination plague kind of whole deal that went down. And he was desperate to like heal his race and regain their former glory. So he turned to Thanagars, like practitioners of these ancient barbaric ways and beliefs known as the Old Ones. The Old Ones told Corsair that this mysterious element known as nth metal could be found deep within, like, near the core of the planet, and had the power to restore their wings. So Corsair ordered his people to start mining in these, like, really dangerous, like, fatal conditions.
Isn't this how Krypton exploded?
No.
Oh, okay.
Which, of course, like, and because it was, like, so many people were dying in these mines, just to, like... And these were people who, like, could have fought in the war and stuff like that. Carter Holt, like, really disapproved of this. He's ever since he stopped being a gladiator, he was sort of like the king's, like, peaceful advisor. They eventually found some nth metal, but they also unearthed, like, these huge ancient monsters, think like Cthulhu, that killed a bunch of people. Sorry.
Wow.
And, but despite this, like, Corsair wanted more and more nth metal. And so, in an argument, the nth metal bonded to Carter Hall, and he accidentally killed Corsair.
What do you mean in an argument?
They were having, like, this heated debate over whether or not they should keep mining nth metal.
Why did the nth metal bond to Qatar? It just did?
Good question. It just did. Because he was worthy. He was, like, they were talking about it, and he touched it, and it bonded to him.
Okay. It's not that cool, but okay.
So Corsair was accidentally killed, and Shaira was just devastated by this, and she blamed Carter. And since she was the inheritor of the throne, she ordered Carter's death. So Carter fled the planet, and he was chased all the way to Earth, where his ship crashed, landed in the Arctic, and he got amnesia from the crash.
Okay.
And he was found by some scientists. He was delirious, and he was just delirious saying his name. They thought he was saying Carter Hall, so that became his name.
Okay.
Carter Hall. But, on this new planet, not knowing who he was, not even knowing he was an alien, but still having, his warrior spirit and the sense of justice, and of course the nth metal that's, like, fused to his blood. He eventually became a crime-fighting archaeologist known as Hawkman.
Archaeologist.
Yeah. And so because his body has this golden nth metal in it, again in his blood, he was able to regrow his natural Thanagarian wings. It healed him. But the metal can also like emerge from his body at will to form armor and like any kind of weaponry.
Any kind of, like, is he like Warrior, kind of like Guy Gardner when he was Warrior?
Yeah.
So he can form,
but
like...
you can't...
Because all the pictures that I see of Hawkman, it's always this, like, spiked cestus glove and his battle axe. Or a mace.
Or a mace, or like a fanned Egyptian axe, whatever that's called.
Okay.
Yeah. So he usually has, like, that... Again, it's like a shield with claws in one hand and some kind of bladed weapon in the other.
Yeah.
But the nth metal also makes him really durable. He can withstand a punch from someone like Lobo, who is like as strong as Superman. And it also allows him to heal rapidly. Like anytime he bleeds, the metal like cauterizes the wound, which forms like a protective barrier. I remember seeing this. There was this one comic where he went up against Deathstroke. He got shot in the neck, and the nth metal like instinctively like poured over the wound. And when it like recedes back into him, the wound is gone.
Huh.
And so because of this...
Because nth metal can heal. That's how he has a healing factor.
Right.
Okay.
Because of this, he's able to regrow limbs and even survive extreme conditions like outer space. Now the nth metal itself also has some like unique properties in that it can like warp the fundamental laws of the universe.
What?
Like gravity and electromagnetism. Like, you know, the Legionnaires from the future?
Yeah.
Like they're Legion rings. Part of the nth metal in there is nth metal.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And that's how they're able to fly, all of them.
Yeah.
But it also makes him stronger. He can lift 5 tons, not just 2. And he can fly like really fast. He can fly at Mach speeds. So this also, the nth metal also enhances his senses. So he has
like Wolverine.
Wolverine to me is more like smell. Like he could smell really good.
Well, he has night vision and hear really well too.
For Hawkman, it's more about like seeing really far, like a real hawk, like for miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's it.
That's everything?
Pretty much.
What a ripoff.
Maybe the new version, I mean, he's a Golden Age character, so I wouldn't say Hawkman's a ripoff.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree that the newer version, they're
Well, I like this new version.
I do.
I think they finally found a
well.
way to make him relevant. Prior to this, he was just kind of like Conan the Barbarian with wings.
He always... I never liked the fact that, like, the wings were, like, made of metal before.
But they look like feathers.
Yeah, well,
now,
especially with Carter Hall. Yeah. But, I mean, and now they're his actual wings. Like,
right.
his Thanagarian wings.
Right.
They're part of his alien physiology. And he was always, like, wearing, like, green jeans. It was just a weird look. But now, like, the more armored they make him, I think the better he's looking.
Yeah. He looks a little bit more, I don't know... I was going to say pure, but I don't know if that makes sense. He looks like less of a weird character and more of like a more established good character, I guess.
Yeah.
He's finally cool, we'll say that. All right.
Like even Alex Ross has said like he's one of the strangest characters to like draw.
Yeah.
Just because of his costume.
Because there's the helmet and the wings
yeah.
and the mace and yeah.
But with this, again, this whole armored look thing that they have going now. So really cool.
What weapons is he going to have during this fight?
That's a good question. He could have any weapon. What do you mean?
What do you mean he can have any? Well, what weapon do you want him to?
Wants.
Okay. Like
it's not like he's bringing weapons with him.
So you get like swords, shields, maces, axes,
whatever he wants.
What about a bow and arrow?
It's not his style. He's a gladiator.
What about a throwing spear?
I've seen him have like a spear. Yeah. I've seen him have an axe that looked throwable. I don't know.
If he throws his nth metal weapons, does he have to like get them back to reabsorb the metal?
Yeah, I think so. Nth metal is super rare. Like Deathstroke, he has some nth metal in his armor, but it's like nth metal alloy. It's only found.
So how come Deathstroke can't fly? I thought you said so. Deathstroke has. I'm sorry. Answer my question first. Why can't he fly?
Because it's an alloy.
Why does he have nth metal armor but a promethium sword? Why doesn't he just have a promethium armor?
I think if he could have an nth metal sword, he would, but it's just too rare.
Isn't promethium stronger than nth metal?
I don't know. Promethium is said to be the strongest, like adamantium, like the strongest metal in DC. Uh-huh. But then again, I've seen it be broken before. So
Really?
I've never seen nth metal be broken. It's just the only person who really uses it is Hawkman. You know?
Have they ever made claims to its indestructibility?
No, not that I know of.
So it's not indestructible. Therefore, Wolverine wins. The end.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, it is like malleable. Like it's in liquid form, like all the time with the new Hawkman. Whenever he's like creating a new weapon, it's like a liquid, like metal taking shape. But I know it's super durable. They make claims to its durability,
Interesting.
not necessarily to its unbreakability, but I wouldn't say adamantium can cut through it.
I would say that.
I would not say that.
That's kind of the big question of this whole fight, isn't it? What's the strongest metal? We may have to look into that. Because I don't see nth metal cutting through adamantium.
I mean, I don't.
What do you think about that?
I don't see it either, but I don't see adamantium cutting through nth metal as well. It's a really strong metal. It's like a mystic metal. It's like
Vibranium is a really strong metal, but adamantium can cut through vibranium. Unless you're talking about Cap's shield.
Right. I was just gonna say. And the thing too is that this is like the purest form of nth metal. So it's
So it's pure?
it's pure.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, like Wolverine's bones are like pure adamantium.
Right.
That has to be saying
Well,
something.
they're laced with pure adamantium, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so it doesn't have like any impurity to make it weak,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, because there is impure adamantium, and it's called like secondary adamantium or something like that.
And it's weaker.
And it's weaker. Yeah, it's not as strong. It's not as pure. Okay. All right. So in every battle starts off. They start off at medium range distance, whatever you want that to be. Like say the football field's distance apart. But there's no environment because we don't take stats for environment, and there's no way to account for all the environmental factors that may come into play.
It's variable. One character could win in one environment and not in another.
Yeah.
So we don't record stats for it because it's just too variable.
Right. So when I imagine them fighting, it's like in a bare arena, or maybe just like all white like the Matrix. I don't know. Whatever you want to imagine, just nothing from the environment plays a factor in the fight.
Right.
So they start off. Hawkman obviously has the aerial advantage in the fight the entire time because Wolverine is a heavy motherfucker and cannot fly.
He's also really short.
He's also really short. He's only 5'3", so yeah, that that makes a difference. I don't even know how this fight will start. I guess okay. So obviously Hawkman can fly, so he goes up in the air, and
Hawkman goes into the air and creates.
He creates that copycat. He pulls out his armor and has that copycat glove with the 3 spikes on it that look like Wolverine's claws.
Like Wolverine's claws.
And he'd be like,
in one hand, and in the other hand, he has this long ass pole arm with a mace on one end and a
axe on the other. I think I've seen that, right?
Egyptian fan axe on the other.
Okay. Well, like Wolverine would be like, "Good, cool claws, bub. Let me show you my claws."
Are we doing voices now?
But no, yeah. So he'll pull out his own claws, and Hawkman will be like, "Oh, you have claws too."
This is just a huge bloody fight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like this is gonna get really messy.
So
this whole thing is close combat.
Hawkman's gonna swoop in and pretty much straight up battle axe Wolverine in the chest, probably, because he's fast like that. And
or just like hold the end of his pole arm and just swing the mace right into Wolverine's chest.
Right into his chest?
Yeah.
Okay. And well, obviously it's not going to go through. It's not going to go in very deep because of his adamantium ribcage.
Right.
So at that point, Hawkman's going to realize
this guy's made of metal.
This guy doesn't have like indestructible skin or anything, but he'll probably realize that he has an indestructible skeleton at that point.
Right. Because he didn't immediately explode with blood and bone.
Right. Yeah. So Wolverine will probably like cut his axe at that point, breaking his axe.
No.
What do you mean no? It's stuck into him. Obviously he's gonna get it away somehow. He's gonna break the axe.
He can't cut through the metal.
Oh, that's right. That was your whole thesis, huh? I keep thinking that he could cut through the metal. we're really gonna have to look into whether, because that's almost the entire fight right there.
I honestly, I don't think there's an answer to that question, because you're gonna it's a fanboy debate. Like, you're gonna have one side saying nth metal can't be broken by adamantium, and another side saying it is.
So our thesis is gonna be that it can't. Correct.
I think they're both.
Because if it can, obviously Wolverine's gonna win this fight. But if it can't, it's still up in the air question.
I will put this out there. Nth metal is probably the most durable metal in the DC Comics universe. Because I can't think of another metal that's touted in terms of durability.
Prometheum.
But I've seen Prometheum be broken. In a bullshit story. But anyway.
Okay, so we're gonna assume it's adamantium strong.
Yes. It's just, strong metal.
We'll assume that for this fight, but you know what? When we go to the stats and we start compiling the stats, I'm going to actually research that and see if I can find anything that's been settled on that. But for the rest of this discussion, we'll assume that they can't cut each other.
Okay.
So he'll go to break the axe then and realize that, oh, hey, this is, super strong metal that even my adamantium
Wait, so
can't cut
Hawkman's
into.
still holding on to it?
Yeah. So they're kind of like in this like weird kind of lock kind of thing, because he's holding onto the axe is wedged into Wolverine.
Okay, so Wolverine's holding onto the axe in his chest.
Yeah.
And so as he's doing that, Hawkman claws him right in the side.
And then Wolverine, so he has both of his weapons. Wolverine has two open arms
Free
to
hands.
claw right into Hawkman. Okay.
Yeah.
Now Hawkman has a lot of exposed flesh. That's where Wolverine's aiming.
Yes.
Hawkman does not have. He has normal organs in his body. He does not have any type of skeleton or anything to block these adamantium claws
no internal
from
armor.
going in. Yeah, right.
His external armor.
And piercing his organs. Okay? Okay. So, he's fucked, basically. So, he stabs into him, probably stabbing into, his spleen. Can the nth metal heal his spleen, or is it just external wounds?
It heals everything. It's inside of him.
Okay, so at that point, Hawkman probably freaks the fuck out, saying, "Holy shit, I just got stabbed."
That really fucking hurt.
Yeah, he probably like pulls his claws out, pulls his axe out, and flies backwards, and is like, "Oh, shit!"
Once he gets stabbed, in his organs, his weapons probably will dissolve back into
his body in an attempt to heal him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he probably flies backward, which he can do. He can put some distance between himself and Wolverine pretty easily to give him a chance to heal. And I see that happening over and over and over again. Basically, they're going to clash, fuck each other up, and then they're going to heal, clash, fuck each other up, and then heal.
Okay, well, I have something that might work.
Okay.
So, Hawkman, let me know if you think this is an environmental thing, because it might be.
Okay.
Hawkman will sneak up behind, not sneak up, but essentially grab Wolverine.
How are you going to sneak up behind Wolverine?
He's going to grab Wolverine.
Hawkman probably doesn't wear deodorant. You can smell him.
Yeah, you're probably right. He grabs Wolverine and just flies straight up into the air.
Wolverine's pretty heavy. Well, I guess he could lift 5 tons, though.
Yeah, he could lift Wolverine.
Straight up into the air. Okay.
Yeah. And then they're, just stabbing each other in the air. And then Wolverine, what is Wolverine going to do?
Okay, so if Hawkman is holding Wolverine, that means his arms are occupied holding Wolverine.
Yeah.
Are Wolverine's arms are Wolverine's hands occupied? Because if not, they're going all over his torso. It's not a good idea to lift Wolverine unless you lift him by the wrists, maybe.
Yes, he lifts him by the wrists.
But that's gonna be a struggle. They're gonna be struggling like crazy in midair.
Yeah, they're gonna be kicking the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
But they're in the air. They're tumbling through the air. Okay. So then Hawkman throws Wolverine back down to the ground really hard with his super strength.
Yeah, big deal. Yeah. Okay.
And Wolverine.
That happens to Wolverine on a daily basis.
What? No, it doesn't. If he falls from a really huge height, that's.
Well, it's not an environmental factor. I'll say that. But he can survive falling from huge heights. He's done it before. Every time he gets knocked into the stratosphere by the Hulk, yeah, he comes back down, and yeah, it hurts. He
What if he just
it's
explode?
all bloody all over.
If someone falls out of a skyscraper, they're gonna explode when they hit the ground.
Yeah, but as long as he has his heart, as long as he has his brain remaining, if it's not decapitated, removed from his spinal column, he can still heal from anything. His adamantium skull is a tremendous helmet.
That's very true.
So we've seen him fall from heights like that before. As a matter of fact, when did he do it? Oh, he did it in the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. He jumped off that big reactor. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
Don't watch it. It's stupid. But he does jump off. They defeat Deadpool, and he's like, oh shit, this place is coming down. Oh, I'm just gonna jump. And it's really stupid the way he does it. He just jumps and he goes, boom, right into the ground. And then like a few seconds later, he gets up.
He probably leaves like a dent.
He does leave a dent, yeah.
Okay. Damn it. Okay, well, Hawkman still does that, whatever.
So he does that, and then he probably like drops a spear through him. Or something.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah. And Wolverine's like, oh shit.
So now Wolverine's pinned to the ground.
Pinned to the ground.
Yeah, because he lands on his stomach. And Hawkman came down and speared him in the back and pinned him to the ground.
Oh, he fell on his stomach?
Yeah.
Okay. I could see Hawkman doing something like that. Eventually, you would have to get to that point where he would lift Wolverine into the air. Because he's too dangerous otherwise, and he would use gravity as a weapon.
Yeah.
Gravity can't really hurt Wolverine, but it can fuck him up enough where he has to heal a lot. It'll tax his healing factor. And then if you pin him to the ground...
He's essentially going to have to lift himself up from the...
Yeah.
From the
Which
the
he can do. He's impaled by the...
But he's also
pole.
short.
No, he can still do it.
But it's really tall. It's a tall spear.
He can put his hands and like climb up the pole. The question is, what is Hawkman going to do while he's trying to do that?
He's going to be trying to chop off his head with
but he can't.
sword.
But he can't chop off his head.
But Wolverine's he's going to have a hard time trying to climb up the pole as Hawkman is beating the shit out of his head with a sword. This is really bloody.
We're thinking violent thoughts. Okay. I think Wolverine slashes through the spear because adamantium can cut through nth metal.
No. There is one thing that you haven't thought of.
What?
Hawkman's wings aren't nth metal.
Oh, you think he slashes his wings?
You could slash his wings off.
It would have to be a pretty well-timed slash.
Yeah. But also, I was going to say, if you did bring that up...
Can Hawkman fly without his wings, though? He still has the nth metal in his system, which can defy
That's
gravity.
a good question. New 52, I don't think he can. New 52, probably.
You just said New 52 twice.
I said pre-New 52.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And because I'm using, really trying to stick hard with the New 52 version, I'm going to say he can't fly. But he can regrow his wings.
How long will that take?
When the nth metal first bonded to him, his wings sprouted immediately.
How good is Hawkman at regrowing limbs?
He's pretty good.
How long does it take?
His wings came back immediately.
You can't chop off Wolverine's limbs because he has the skeleton.
Right.
But you could chop off Hawkman's limbs.
Right. They don't grow back immediately. It takes a while.
So I think even before Hawkman even lifts Wolverine into the air, he's already dead. That's what I think.
Why?
Because he got his limbs chopped off. He got his head chopped off.
His head?
Yeah.
Even though he's wearing armor? He's wearing a...
Yeah, but he doesn't wear a neck brace. Does he?
No, but once Wolverine cuts into him, the nth metal will react to that.
Okay, and once Wolverine's claws cut through him, his neck, how's the nth metal going to react to that?
The Wolverine can't cut through nth metal. That's the thing.
But he doesn't. What about when he doesn't have his neck protected?
Once he gets a wound, the nth metal will react. It'll liquefy out of him.
Yes, but it's not going to liquefy on a place where there is no wound, such as his neck, where Wolverine has not slashed yet. But he will, and then cut his head off.
As soon as the blades go into him, the nth metal will react.
No,
do you not understand this?
Yes, that makes no sense. He can stab into Hawkman.
Yeah,
the nth metal's not.
But he's
that
not
fast.
going to get that deep because of
but
the reactive nature.
But he just got deep enough to stab his organs, like we mentioned.
Yeah,
You make no sense.
Here's.
I don't think the antimetal reacts quick enough to stop Wolverine from slashing off something.
It reacts quick enough to stop a bullet.
What do you mean?
When he got shot in the neck by Deathstroke.
Yeah, it covered the existing wound. It didn't stop the bullet from hitting him.
That's true.
There you go. There you fucking go. I still don't know how Wolverine would get out of that spear fight thing, though. Like, if this comes down to a close match,
especially if,
which
like,
it probably will.
Especially if Hawkman puts, like, some kind of, like I don't want to say stopper. Let's say it's a fanned Egyptian axe blade. Like, Wolverine, he can't, like, pull himself through a blunt edge like that.
At that point, I think Hawkman would get a mace and just keep batting him down the spear that Wolverine's impaled on.
Like a hammer.
So, like, if Hawkman ends up... I mean, he's going to lose, but all the matches that he does win, that's probably how he wins. By basically pinning Wolverine.
And you're saying the way Wolverine wins is by chopping off Hawkman's head.
Yeah, by chopping off Hawkman's head. Yeah. Should we take it to the stat machine? And
I'm trying to think of anything else.
See what the stat computer puts out?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're going to the machine, folks. We'll be right back.
Well, that's the most obvious the machine has ever been in announcing the winner.
Maybe not. It could be the sound of a hawk screeching in victory, or the sound of a hawk screeching in agony.
That's a victory screech.
Is it?
Pretty sure.
Okay. All right. Well, we did run the stats from the machine. We got the results. Very close. The stats were almost identical. Like, Hawkman is a little bit faster and quicker, but Wolverine got extra points for his, like, extra stamina. Even though Hawkman has a lot of stamina. But we also said that Wolverine's slightly smarter because he's lived a really long time and has led several teams.
Excuse me, Hawkman has a bachelor's degree?
Doesn't everybody? I don't know. So it's very close, I'll say that. The stats were even closer than I thought. They're almost the same character, except one has wings. One has wings, and the other one has an unbreakable skeleton.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. If Hawkman's skeleton were like Antimetal, it would be interesting. I wonder how that would go. As opposed to more of it's more reactive.
His blood is Antimetal, essentially.
But he can still, like, you can still cut through his skin. Like, you can cut through his blood.
Yeah, so. I've seen him lose limbs, but then regrow them.
But he definitely has more maneuverability than Wolverine. Anyway, basically, what I'm trying to say is it's close.
Okay.
But Wolverine wins.
Rip the Band-Aid.
Wolverine wins.
Ah, shit! This is a popularity contest? This is not right. I protest.
Wolverine won only 53.4% of the fights.
Oh. That's respectable.
So just barely over 50, over half of them. Hawkman won a lot of them. Wolverine won slightly more, so he wins. I think it was a really good matchup. I really like this matchup. I like the idea of Wolverine and Hawkman going at it. As bloody as it is, I think it would...
That was a bloody fight.
It would be one of the more interesting fights to see out of all the fights that we've covered.
I agree.
I think.
Yeah.
Thinking up this one was just in terms of brutality and fun. Like, I guess, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was that. Wolverine won. If you think, like, obviously they didn't bring in extra weapons, because if they did, like, if Hawkman brought in, like, the Claw of Horus,
which I haven't seen the new 52, but that would fuck Wolverine up.
Yeah, because it's like Superman strength glove kind of thing.
Maybe even stronger. It essentially, like, punch it, like, if you're wielding it, you punch with the full force of the planet,
with the gravity of the planet or something.
Yeah.
But Wolverine, if we're bringing in weapons, Wolverine could always bring in the Muramasa blade, which, you know, would I don't know if that would let Hawkman heal.
No, that's dumb. That's Marvel rules.
That's
DC
true.
doesn't play by Marvel rules.
So that's pretty much it. Yeah, go ahead and write into us via Twitter or Instagram or email, and let us know what you think about the results of this match.
I can't wait to see a comment from someone saying, Hawkman would have totally won. He has the Claw of Horus, and he can punch with the entire force of the planet. It's like, yeah, we brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people do listen to these things in, like, snippets.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So they'll bring up stuff that we did address. But anyway, as far as the trivia hint that we,
That's right.
regarding the trivia question that we mentioned earlier, trivia question is that two of the 4 actresses that we're talking about have won Oscars.
Yeah, that's the hint.
And one of them is up for an Academy Award tomorrow or Sunday, depending on when you're listening to this. Academy Awards night.
Yeah.
2017.
We're recording this the day before.
Yeah, on Saturday. So that was that. I think that does it for this episode. Next episode, I'm really looking forward to reviewing Logan.
Yeah.
Everything I hear about it, like I know I always tell you, because you always get so excited for the DC movies, and I'm like, Jonathan,
Check your expectations.
I
had to do that for you.
But like,
earlier.
you have to do that for me. But like, my expectations are so high from Logan because of all the reviews that have come in.
People are saying it's like the next Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit.
No, it might be a 5-star movie. We might have like our first 5-star movie of this podcast, and that will be amazing. I don't know what to expect. I'm just really looking forward to talking about it.
I give it 4 stars.
Yeah. So I'll be seeing it this upcoming Thursday at the Alamo Drafthouse, but we won't be reviewing it until the following week,
right,
when our next podcast is.
So our review will be a week after the film releases.
Yeah. So we'll have time to sit on our thoughts a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Let them gestate. It'll be good. So look forward to that in the next episode, and we will see you then. And until then,
up and away,
true believers.